And also like for leadership, for your personal and professional development. I think art, as it does when you do a lot of self-reflection, it's easier to be a leader, because for a leader, you have to empathize. You have to be able to empathize, to understand your team, to know the strengths and the weaknesses of your team in order to work better and better together in order to deliver a better product. Hello,
Hi.
Petra. Hey.
Hi, it's so
Very
great to
nice.
see you here on Zoom.
Yeah, you too. I've seen you many times on Zoom, but then I
Oh,
was
really?
looking at the interview, but it's
And,
funny to be here
yeah,
next to you now. Yeah.
but it's so lovely to talk to you. I'm so interested in hearing your story and the project that you're working on. So, just first give me a more of an insight into what you're exactly doing, because you are teaching at a business school.
I'm not teaching, I'm a program coordinator.
Mm.
So what is that? When we have a group, learning and development consultants, but I am not a learning and development consultant. I did many other things before, but I do sell learning journeys to clients. And then when they take place in the campus or in a hotel or wherever, somewhere in Belgium usually, I'm there to help them, to support them, to do recaps of the former day or so, or reflection moments, things like that. So I'm like the link between the ones who develop the learning journey and the professors who are teaching.
Oh, okay. So you sort of that transition of the academic to the real
Yes,
world.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Like when we have a group of, I'm in the customized unit, what means that we make the learning journeys for companies, sometimes for departments of the European Union, or for other clients, mainly in Belgium and the Netherlands. We're trying to internationalize, but that's going to take time. Um, so talk with them and yeah, be the link between them and coordinate everything, yeah.
What an interesting job you have.
Well, I'm learning a lot because a business school, what are they
Yeah.
teaching? Finances, uh, digitalization, innovation, leadership skills and people skills. And, but that's something, I studied something completely different. I have a master's in Eastern Studies, specialized in Japan. So that's something
What a,
completely.
yeah, but what a completely
Yes, and my
opposite.
jobs before were like I worked for my first job. I worked for a Japanese journalist who was in Brussels for the European Union. Then I've been teaching Japanese in evening classes. I what else? I worked for a Japanese import export company. Then I went to the States, became a flight attendant
Okay.
until 4 years ago. And then it was really a bit struggling with the lockdown to find a job that
Oh
I
yeah.
liked. And now I'm in a business school, so I'm even interested in digitalization. Something before I was like, oh God, no,
Really?
where's the humanity going? Was my reaction. But
Mm.
yes,
But when you wrote to me, you said that you were always interested in art, and that you actually believe that how the importance of art in education. So tell me a little bit about that. As a child, did you do some form of art?
yes. When I was 5 years old, my father had been in music, but we lived in a small village, more like, how do you say, like on the Sunday in the street, they come with a whole, like the saxophone, clarinets,
Oh yeah.
drums. He had studied music when he was young. And when I was 5 years old, he learned me the notes, the sol key, the fa key. And then I went to music school, but since I knew already the notes, after 1 year, I could start playing the piano. And I played it from my 7 till my 16, till I was 16 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, there was a time when I was more in rock and roll. And I remember my first artist, I was introduced to David Bowie, then Ziggy Stardust,
Really?
by a neighbor of mine who was like the bad guy in the village because he dressed a bit like him and so on. And yeah, then I came more interested. Yeah, it went from David Bowie and yeah, he was the main one. And then yeah, then I got into like the punk scene in London. Not that I was really into the punk, but some music I liked the protest music. And it was mainly because I grew up in such a conservative Catholic village. And then I went to a Catholic boarding school that was even worse. So I had like two lives. The week, the boarding school, and the weekends were like where I escaped from everything. And that music made me reflect about first what was going on in the Catholic school, like the hypocrisy and everything around it that I didn't like, and I started to dislike it more and more. So David Bowie was like for me, the whole figure of Ziggy Stardust was a piece of art. I think, you know, I was like, oh, there's still something out there that's different than my little world here. And yeah, and then it made me pop music. But I still kept playing piano till I was 16 because my father loved it and I was good in it. I was pretty good. I did some local um, competitions and so. But yeah, I I don't think I would ever be a virtuoso because otherwise I would have continued,
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
I quit because in the school, in my high school, I didn't like it and so on. But I think it really influenced me thinking about, you know, what artists, how I compared these two worlds and how different they were. And you start thinking first on one side about what in the school was going on, the hypocrisy, how people who came from a rich family were more valued than, for example, can come from, my parents were florists, a florist shop. But you start thinking about that, about the Catholic Church, about these beliefs and all this religion, philosophy, you start thinking. Even back then, I didn't think in terms of philosophy, but you start thinking about that. And the person who introduced me to David Bowie, when 2 years later, when I was 14, he died in a car accident. And then you start thinking more about life and the sense of life and death. And that happened 14 is an early age to start thinking about that. Well, there are people who start younger who were, but since then, always music helped me like to escape, to think about these things.
Mhm.
And after music came literature a lot. I read an enormous lot of was fiction, but an enormous lot from all sides of the world, South American literature, Asian, certainly Japanese literature. Uh, and that too, the beauty of the sentences in which they say something so meaningful. I always crossed the phrases that I liked. I know when I dusted my books, I still read it again. It takes me 2 weeks or longer to do that cleaning just because I read the books again.
Okay.
So, and since then came art, like painting, photography, sculptures, and yes, since the last 15 years, ballet, modern ballet. Yeah.
And amazing that, as a child, you had this exposure to music and that then gradually made you interested in other forms of art. So it is so important that we realize this, that for children to be educated in some form of art, it doesn't mean they're going to become professional musicians or professional painters or whatever, but they are just exposed to this a form of art that makes the brain also then develop differently, and the thinking processes that you went through, for example, and questioning and
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important, that questioning, that self-reflection, because it makes you discover yourself, and it makes you create values for yourself. Even if you're not religious, or you create some values. You decide for yourself what's good and bad. And of course, there's influence from your background, but you learn to decide that for yourself. And I think that's very important, that you create some values for yourself, whether it's good or bad, or what is being loyal, what is, uh, what, how do you treat people? How do you treat people with respect? Just, I want to be treated like that, like with respect. So, and I treat other people like that. That made me think, and that's a learning process, that the older you get, the more you learn from people, because you learn a lot from people, as from art. And I think certainly from art, because most artists are very complex people. They have a complex personality. Often they have a background where they grew up that was not really the normal background, whatever normal means. But if you see interviews, like interviews that I saw from you, or I read biographies, it's almost always the same comes back, and they reflect that in that art. And because art is then a complex expression of the human being, you learn even more, I think. And that meant it to me. If I think back, and I often think back or reflect, I think art had a huge impact on how I developed as a person.
I think so as well. And I think we don't have to see it in the fact that you have to, make an art exhibition, but you can paint, and it's a way of expressing yourself. And I think especially for children, I'm really passionate about the fact that young children should be able to get these opportunities, and that art is not seen as just a side subject or something you do once a week, but that it's really important to that it's sort of linked with maths and science and literature, and then for a child to be developed as a whole person.
I think so too. I think it's important that they start with children from, like, not elementary school, maybe even earlier. I think it's very important that they go to a museum or something, or listen to music, whether it's classical or other music, that they get an ear from it, that evokes some emotions. Even with kids, it is going to evoke emotions. If they hear a song that's like, get happy, or they start dancing, I think that's important to develop these emotions, and to learn to think about later about these emotions. And that, I think, is, I read somewhere, because I did some research for the project, and that it was in 2011 that the European had developed a project for changing something in the education, but I haven't seen it happen yet. And usually when something has to come from the European Union, it can take quite a long while before and it's also changing the mindset of people. I think that's the hardest part.
Yeah. But now tell me about the project that you are initiating at the college there.
Yeah. So I started when we had a new team leader, and who was really open for it. And first, and I think I wrote that I would ask my team, because I feel there is a lack. If I show emotion, they're scared to show emotions. It's like all business, like, we talk about work, or if you tell a story of how it was in my time, because I'm almost 58 and they're around the 30s, so that's a lot. The world changed a lot since then, society. And they're like not open. They want to talk about their learning, their clients. That's open. And I'm like, what is it? And I see even the new team leader noticed that there is like a lack of emotions in the team. And that's how I started talking. I think, I said, as I told you, that art is a huge enhancer of that. And he said, yes. And I'm like, why not in a business school? And he said, yeah, you can, if you want to do some research around it. So I started. But then he said, maybe ask some of the faculties. And I asked the head of each faculty if they had done something with art in the school. And we have like 4 areas: leadership, as I said, finances, innovation, and digitalization. And 2 replied to me. One is strategy. He's a very good professor in strategy. And we talk a lot about music and rock and roll. And he said, my next book I'm writing, and I have already some ideas, is strategy and rock and roll.
Really?
Yes. And then the head of the area of leadership and people skills, she says, yeah, we implement already some things like role plays or so, some smaller things. But she said, and I was surprised and not surprised. She said, but we cannot mention the word art to our participants.
Really?
Yes, because she says that scares them, because they're coming to a business school.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I was like, that made me think like, okay, that's the mentality, because I'm coming from such a different background that I never thought in these terms. They sometimes may give an example of something. For example, I know from project management, as course I follow, he gave an example of Live Aid at the time, how well it was organized as a project. So they things like that, and there are canvases in the corridors. But the fact that you cannot mention art, I'm like, this has to change.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a very difficult task. But I think you can do it. I think if you want to do something, and you go for it, and I'm going to go for it. So that's how far I am, and they're willing to work with me. But my team leader still has to convince the director to go on with the project. But we also work with one. He's not a professor, but an expert, and he used to be like acting as a clown on the streets for children, and he developed that more and more. And he's bringing like all plays for leadership, like for example, like. You stand in a circle, one start dancing on music, then gives the ball to somebody else, and you have to do that together, and then there follow some self-reflection moments, like how did you feel doing this and this. He's really in, but that's the only one. And but I'm gonna ask him to work too, maybe together with me, because if you have somebody who has a higher position, it can help, and I can learn from him too, I'm sure. So that's how far I am. And also the professor who is Kathleen de Stobelaer, I can mention her name. She also said that besides now that we have to be careful to use the word art, that it has to go together with the strategy of the school. Now, what is the strategy of the school? Sorry, I have the papers here with me. I wrote it off.
Yeah.
It's in fact, the motto of the school is live, learn, leap. So live, you dream, you live your dreams, but don't keep it as a dream. Learn to make it true, keep learning, and then do something with what you learned. And in fact, it's transforming the people for a better, positive world. And then the 4 pillars are, I should know that, but are like more raising an international profile, sustainability, of course, digitalization, and take the leap. No, I thought this is not that difficult, in fact, because internationalization or being more diverse, if you have art from all over the world, whether it's literature, sculpture, painting, music, it reflects the culture. And if you want to internationalize, you have to understand the culture. So
Exactly.
art can uh, can contribute to that. And for innovation, well, I think how many artists aren't innovative? You know, um,
Absolutely.
you
You
know
you
that there
just
are the innovators. Well, not only the artists, but they have the more. It's the more accessible way for all people to get to innovation, I think, and to see how innovation is important. So I think people in the business school, they can gain inspiration from them and also develop that in their own business, because
absolutely. Yeah.
it's a the world is changing so fast, also in the business world. It's a hard world, so they have to keep innovate. I think that's a huge inspiration for them. And then you have inclusiveness. Well, I think inclusiveness in art, I think that's just, you know, if you look from things from a different angle, what I learned from art, uh, well, then I think you become more inclusive. It's easier, it
Absolutely.
enhances inclusiveness. And what else? Yes, digitalization. There are a lot of artists who use artificial intelligence already. So why cannot
Yeah.
not be the opposite too? Uh, and innovation, and that is it. Inclusive innovation. Yes, I have them all, I think. And also, like for leadership, for your personal and professional development, I think art, as it does when you do a lot of self-reflection, it's easier to be a leader, because for a leader, you have to empathize. You have to be able to empathize, to understand your team, to know the strengths and the weaknesses of your team in order to work better and better together in order to deliver a better product. So I didn't find that very difficult. So as soon as I have the approval of the director, um, who is sometimes, might be a task to convince him, but I believe that our new team leader can do that.
Yeah.
So once that, then I have already 2 professors who are the top faculties who work with me. So that's
Well,
how
if
I am.
yeah. Well, if you just think of an orchestra, and if you see the whole setup and how it works, and if you see the conductor and you know how the conductor works with the orchestra, that already is a leadership team. That is already an example of the greatest leadership team. And I cannot even imagine that people in the business world can't see that, because for them, the business is a very creative. It's a very creative
Yes.
thing, and if you are closed-minded to look at other examples for how you can benefit from, or benefit your business, then, or your business skills, then it's questionable, really. It's You
Yes,
cannot make that leap if you just see your own point of view.
I know. So I was so surprised that they cannot, that it's for those people so hard to link the word art with a business school. But so that's gonna ask a long time to change their mind. Will have to be slowly and slowly, I think. But okay, with their help, at least I think I have something that can be worked out further. I have already something. If you have some faculties with you, I'm sure that.
You
And
can, yeah.
those two that Kurt Verweer from strategy and Kathleen de Stobler from leadership, that are the top faculties in our school.
Well, you are also a very great example of somebody who take on the challenges also for the job that you're doing at the moment and other jobs that you did in the past. And this I found really, and the project that I did during lockdown here in Vienna, that made me really think that there are skills that you acquire when you study some form of art, and these skills are this self-motivation, perseverance. And I'm not saying you cannot do it with sport, but specifically with art and the way you think and the way you do problem solving. I think art is the one thing that gives you all these skills, all these different skills. And you found also with artists, and I think they had the hardest time during lockdown because they couldn't perform, they couldn't go in theaters. They were really, I mean, them and the pilots, they were grounded. The pilots were grounded. They couldn't do anything. And you find that with the musicians and with the artists as well. I'm not saying painters. I mean, they could still paint, but and composers and so on. But I'm talking about overall, musicians and dancers. But they seem to get to some sort of solution, and they sort of got over it in a way. And you would think, how did they manage that? And they did. And we have to go and look, and we have to go and ask ourselves, what do they have, or what are these skills that they acquired during their years of training that made them so resilient and so determined to get on with it?
Yes, I saw that in interviews from you, from different people, that how I think it's a passion in them that drives them, but also the fact that they had, most of them, a struggle to get where they are. It's it's tougher than getting a degree at university. I think it's just, you have to give everything from yourself. You have to give up, almost like a ballet dancer has to give up his teenager years, in fact, almost. When I was going out and having fun, they were working. So, they learned that discipline, and they learned that passion, and they learned being creativity, that's, and I think that's also helped during the lockdown. But still, I'm not an artist. I don't know, but still, I feel like, because I did so many different jobs, every time I was like somewhere in a job that I thought, okay, I cannot grow here anymore. I was looking in a complete different direction and looked for something completely different. Yeah,
And
as
that's
I feel
wonderful.
I
But
can. Yeah, when I can't grow anymore, when I feel I'm unstable, I'm on like, I feel safe. I cannot feel safe. I need something that that challenges me. Yeah.
But Anne, you are so the right person to do this initiative, and I really hope this project, that you can get this project off the ground, and maybe there are artists that would be able to come and talk there, or maybe give an input of what they have learned, or what they can give to this project.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, because I remember that you wrote that you're willing to come to speak. So
Yeah.
I told that, but it's still in an early stage, but I won't forget it. Because that would be wonderful, you know. And like I thought, we have videos in the school, yeah, from a new program or something, or ex-alumni, but they could now and then change it, for example, to an interview from you. I'm just
Yeah.
saying something like that, you know. Or no, I also but I also asked for to the team that is uh, still in contact with ex-alumni, if there are artists under them, or if they do something with art. That's also good, you know, if they.
Amazing. Yeah. That would be great.
Yeah,
Great examples also.
yes, and the Learning Hub, where they develop new programs, are also very interested in it. So I have already most of the people with me, and the important people.
You are very determined.
Yes, I
I
am.
love
I
that.
want to do this before I stop working about like
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
working. I'll never stop working.
Mm.
Um, I because I want to again learn the piano.
Really? Okay.
Yes, I want to do that, and I'm writing. That's already since I was the end of my 30s.
Mm.
A book. It's like autobiographical, but it's in fiction. It's in the she
Mm.
form, you know, and I don't put really a place or there are no chapters. It's like more a stream of consciousness, you know. But I
Mm.
still have to work. Right back then, when I wasn't satisfied with the literary quality, I was just tearing it apart and threw it away. I
Really?
regret. I regret it now. Now I keep everything, and if I don't think it's good, well, it's just my feelings that I write down, but I still wanted to have some literary quality, so I have to work on the words because it doesn't flow out of my pen like that. Yeah.
Well, you encourage me now because I started writing about this project that I did during lockdown and everything that I experienced. And I sort of halfway through thought, who wants to read this? But now in the meantime, I've heard people saying, "Oh, you should write it and you should finish it."
Mhm.
And it's sometimes you just have to um, get on with it, not be so self-critical. I think that's also sometimes a
Yeah.
problem. Mm.
Yes, I have that sometimes too much, but um, I will do my best what I can, and then I see even if it never gets published, I did it for myself, you know. Then
Yeah.
I think, you know,
Mm. That's
uh,
true.
yeah.
But now, and tell me, what is now the big wish? What would you like to see happen with this project of yours?
I would like to see it happen that they use. I don't think to use the word art. I have to talk with her more about that. If that's so deep embedded, it takes more than 10 years, I think, to change that.
Mm.
But if they could already reformulate it and rephrase it and use it, do something, I would be happy. And also that like artists or that you come to speak to the school. Also, there are art schools in the city here. So they could work together because I think that
Exactly.
people from art school can learn from people in business too.
Yeah.
It's an exchange of, you know, of right now two worlds. I hope it becomes one world. But I hope to get that far.
Yeah,
I still
because
have 10 years to go.
no, but
So
many times I talk to artists about the business side of things, and they would love to have somebody to help them there, or to have to take that away from them, because that already is a completely a job on its own. So that would be a great also part of the project where you get the two, where you get artists and business students together. That would be wonderful.
yes, that's my ultimate goal, that they work together.
Mm.
Yeah. I hope I still know that even if I don't work there anymore, that I see that happen.
Mm.
That's my wish. Yeah.
Well, you have my support in any way I can give it to you,
Yeah.
and I think it's wonderful that you do that. And thank you so much for writing to me and for telling me about this. And
No, I
I
thank you
really
for
hope that
inviting me.
people can get behind you and support you with this.
Yes, I hope so too. But I think, yeah, I think I have the ones who support me or important people in the school. So, you need
You
these
just have
important
to, yeah,
people.
you just have to rephrase art.
Yes, and that's I will need help from her because I don't
Yeah.
know. I had
Yeah.
never thought in these terms.
Mm,
But yeah, it must be reality, otherwise she wouldn't
yeah.
say that. But it's
Mm,
a shame that it's reality.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but sometimes people have to get used to something. Uh, then it's not so scary anymore. So
I think so
maybe,
too.
yeah. So
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
if they see the word art more often or hear about the word art more
yes.
often, then it would also not be so scary.
I think so too. If they see like a video you talking about them, or if students, like the ones who do the masters, if they can like have a day that they come together in the school or
Yeah,
someplace and exchange ideas, that would already be a beginning.
absolutely. Yeah.
Change that
Mm,
stigma. It's like a stigma that is on the word art in a business school. That
mm.
has to change.
And I'm sure there must be some of them who did some art as a child, or played an instrument as a child. It's possible.
Yes, yes, I know a professor who is teaching a digitalization, and I wrote to him too because there's one day in the summer that the whole school, the staff comes together and you do different projects, like in the or you paint or it's flower arranging and or all kind of things. And I took painting, although I cannot paint, not at all. But what he did, and it was like 50 minutes because then we have to go to another project. I was like, I was like surprised, and yeah, and then I wrote to him too, and he thinks it's a very good idea, and yeah, he says yeah, his daughters are painting, and so I
Yeah.
get that's are all
Mm,
things, but I have to discover more, get more answers
mm,
from faculties, but the main ones I have with me. So and if you have those with you, the other ones will
yeah,
follow.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and all the best of luck and my best wishes for you for this project. And please keep me updated.
I will, for
Yeah.
sure.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing what's happening there in
Yeah,
Belgium.
me too. Me too. I am really, one of my weaknesses is patience. So for me,
Oh, okay.
that's a challenge because I can be very impatient and
Yeah.
yes, but
But I
okay.
think it's a great initiative, and it will, I'm sure it will benefit the school definitely.
I think so too. I
Mm,
think, they want to belong. Belgium is a small country and
mm.
it's, we teach in Dutch and English. Um, so you cannot become a London business school, in Belgium.
Yeah.
That's no, but London Business School has a project. They work together for 3 years with an art school. So that's a
Okay.
perfect example.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a good example.
Yeah.
Good. But Anne, have a lovely afternoon, and thank you so
Yes.
much for talking to me.
No, I thank you for inviting me. I was like, this is like a great opportunity for me to
Y-
tell my story.
Yeah, amazing. Now I really support you.
Thank you very much.